let's leave that here now, Robert. Thanks very much indeed. Robert Nisbet there, and myself still waiting for a result out of Thanet South. Let's catch up with what's on the scoreboard now with Ed Conway.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, it was just a point, actually, that Robert raised a moment ago, the fact that Nigel Farage and the Ukip are saying they're pleased with the increase in the share of the vote. Well, have a look at it. This is the change in the share of the vote for Ukip, and you can see it is a big increase, 9.3%, particularly when you compare it to what's happened to the Lib Dems. The problem, of course, for Ukip is this, the disparity between the one seat they have gained for that big increase, the unprecedented increase that they have enjoyed. Let's have a look at just one other thing, which is the number of seats. Actually, I'll show you quickly two things. First of all, these are the targets that they were aiming for. There's always got to be one more thing. These are the targets that Ukip were aiming for. They were hoping this was going to be a bit more purple than it really has turned out. Aylesbury, Camborne and Redruth, they did get Clacton, of course. Douglas Carswell, of course, he had it as through a by-election, but he managed to get it through a general election. But they haven't picked up the seats that they're hoping for. So, of course, still waiting for Thanet South, still waiting for what happens to Nigel Farage. But here's the key point. They haven't necessarily converted those votes into seats in the House of Commons. Of course, we have a first-past-the-post system. Instead, what they've done is they've got an awful lot of seats where they've come in second place. I've pulled out now all of the seats around the country where Ukip have come in second place. And just look at this. Previous to this general election, they hadn't come in second place anywhere. But as of now, they were the runners-up in all of these seats around the country, to Labour, to the Conservatives. Now, that has caused chaos with the rest of the results because it's disrupted what you'd normally expect to swing across from Labour to the Conservatives. As a result, they are second place in a lot of these places, but they don't have the seats to speak of, except for this one so far, Clacton. Can they add to that? Can Nigel Farage add to it? It's going to be tight for them, and they have, in a sense, fallen victim to the first-past-the-post system.
Ed Conley there, thank you very much indeed. Well, very difficult, of course, for the newspapers to reflect on this fast-moving situation, but I want to take you through some of the front pages because, of course, they reacted to that first drama of the evening, which was the exit poll. So, taking you through them, we've got The Independent, picturing David Cameron there. The Independent, as I say, describes the Conservatives' victory as stunning, but says the Prime Minister will rule a divided kingdom, of course, anticipating that performance by the SNP. The Guardian pictures all the party leaders, how many of them will still be in charge of their party in maybe even a few hours' time. It describes the result as a poll shocker for Labour. It adds that all the parties will be holding inquests. And the Times, if we've got that for you, it shows the Prime Minister there pointing to victory. It says it also mentions that Labour have been virtually wiped out in Scotland. There's also the I newspaper, the Junior Independent, which says David Cameron will rule a divided kingdom, also picking up on the extraordinary performance by the Scottish National Party. The Metro's headline, there we have it, same picture. Cam's the man, the next Prime Minister. And we've got the Telegraph. Mr Cameron is pictured on the front of the Telegraph as well. Let's pause there and bring in my paper reviewers. I'm McElvoy from The Economist and Owen Jones from The Guardian. Owen, I mean, looking at those front pages, they've done quite well because it was that exit poll. We're still waiting to see how the seats finally fall, but that was explosive, and what a blow it was to Labour and Ed Miliband.
Yeah, it was catastrophic for Labour, and it was firstly catastrophic for the polling industry because nobody saw this coming by any stretch.
Well, bizarrely, I mean, in their defence, the vote share is pretty much neck and neck, but it's the way because there are so many smaller parties involved.
We'll see how the vote share
falls, but we have to wait and see.
Which will be fascinating, and that, again, I think reopens the whole question about the electoral system. Speaking as someone who voted against the alternative a few years ago, and I think me and many others will be reconsidering whether or not the current electoral system can hold. But nonetheless, this is a disaster for Labour. In Scotland, the